Early last year, I went through a breakup. It was my first real heartbreak, and it lasted for months. All I wanted was for us to get back together. And in late September, I posted a video called What to Do When Your Ex Wants You Back. At that point, I was finally starting to feel like I could let go of the idea of my ex coming back. I mean, it had been 6 months. There was no way he'd return. But 6 days after posting that video, I had finally received the text. Hey. I practically went against everything I said in that video, and we didn't stay in contact for long because eventually I realized that I was being breadcrumbed. More on that topic in this video, but he did come back. Now, does that situation prove the theory that they always come back? That's what I want to talk about in today's video. Let's figure out whether or not they always come back and if it's always a good thing when they do. The theory got pretty popular on TikTok and Instagram over the past year or so. It means that after some time has passed, an ex will return and try to make things work again. It's assumed that once you pull back your energy and detach and step into your power, the ex will come back and try to rekindle things with you. Now, just to clarify, I use the term ex generally. It could be a literal ex or an ex situationship. So don't think just because y'all weren't official, this doesn't apply to you. If there was emotional investment, connection, and y'all were dating for a while with some idea of a label, I'm calling them an ex. And according to this theory, they will always come back. Now, there are a couple things that I like about this theory, okay? Detaching from the outcome and reclaiming your power is great. No longer focusing on an ex and what they're doing or who they're doing it with brings so much peace into your life. But I also feel like the theory gives people a sense of denial and false hope, because at one point in my life, I was literally convincing myself. I was so delusional to the point where I was like, of course he's gonna come back. He just has to. Like, he literally has to come back because this theory said so. And it took me waiting half a year just to receive a single text. I understand how it feels to invest energy in waiting for someone to return. All you want to do is talk to that person again, ask them how their day was, and wonder if they're thinking about you just as much as you're thinking about them. When you're experiencing heartbreak, the theory can make you cling to false expectations and form a subconscious belief that your ex will inevitably return. I've mentioned this in other videos, but when we try so hard to detach, it usually does the opposite because you're holding on to an outcome which is creating resistance. So in this case, there's a subconscious hope that you and your ex will reconcile in the future. And you know what this does? It stops you from emotionally healing and growing. Now, let's say you're a firm believer that they always come back. I want to talk about why it's not always a good thing when they do. I think one of the biggest reasons why an ex comes back is because they run out of options, but they still crave connection, so they come to you because you're familiar and you're nostalgic.
You weren't gonna ask me to marry you?
What are you, nuts?
You thought? You haven't changed. You'll never change. The hell was I thinking?
Essentially, you have become a last resort or a placeholder. And if not much time has passed since the breakup, then I think it's pretty safe to assume that they haven't done the internal work that needs to be done in order for the relationship to do better than last time. Another reason they come back is because they realize you're not easy to replace, and they want to see if you can fill that lonely void inside of them. You've become the one that got away, which sounds nice until you realize that it shouldn't take somebody losing you for them to finally appreciate and love you.
Oh, now what does he want?
So when weeks or months go by and you get that text, consider whether or not this person is being genuine and whether or not they really have changed. Think critically about the person's motivation for returning, not emotionally, which is really hard to do, obviously, but it's important. When you realize that you deserve better and you move on, people can feel that energetically. When you level up internally, it reflects externally. I saw this video recently that was like, don't take it as a compliment when an ex keeps coming back, because that just means you lack self-respect. Is that always the case? No. But could it be the case? Yes, because you attract what you are. If you're hopeful that your ex will come back someday, I didn't make this video to crush your dreams.
夢を諦めて死んでくれ。
Instead, I want to give you an alternative way of thinking. I'm reading this book right now called Liberated Love by Mark Groves and Kylie Macbeth. And basically, they dated, broke up, went no contact for 10 months, and then got back together. And now they're married and they have a baby. Their relationship is super healthy, super aligned, and they realized that they had to do a lot of internal work during their time apart so that their relationship could work. They worked on their attachment styles and took accountability for their actions in their relationships. Mark was anxious and Kylie was avoidant. They worked on themselves separately during the breakup, which they called their sacred pause. Not because they planned on getting back together. They honestly believed that they would never get back together because they were just not aligned. They were like, I wish you the best, I hope you find happiness, I hope you find, your dream partner or whatever. But they didn't think that they would get back together. Kylie literally got to a point where she was like, I don't need to get back with Mark, but I've made so much growth in the past year that I'd be open to seeing how things would be now. But I'd also be open to experiencing a relationship with somebody completely new. That's the difference. They were no longer holding on to an outcome and waiting for the other person to return. They did the internal work that needed to be done, they detached, and it worked out beautifully in the end. Their new relationship is healthy, and they're more compatible and aligned than they ever have been. Instead of waiting for your ex to return, I think that you should be prioritizing your self-development and healing. Stop waiting for this person to come back and validate you. In the end, everything works out the way that it should. So if you aren't meant to be with this person, no amount of waiting or forcing is going to change that. And like I said, you attract what you are. So if you and your ex end up together in the future, wouldn't you rather be more emotionally mature and secure? You don't need to get back together with this person because there's nothing to go back to. If you end up together again, it will be as improved versions of each other. So focus on yourself and up-leveling your internal. Do they always come back? Maybe, maybe not. Stop focusing on the answer. It's out of your control. Focus on getting yourself back. Once you've up-leveled and moved on, you might not even want this person anymore, and that's when they usually come back, which is ironic. And maybe when you do this, they'll have changed too, and you guys can be together. Or maybe they'll come back and you'll realize that they are completely out of your league now. I'm at a point in my life now where I no longer attach to outcomes with the ex I mentioned in the beginning, but I'm open to all possibilities. What's meant to be will simply be. If you're not meant to be with your ex, you will find someone better suited for you. And I think that that's such a beautiful mindset to have. It's written in the stars, darling. You cannot stop fate. Fate is fate. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, prove it by giving it a thumbs up and leave a comment below letting me know your thoughts on the they always come back theory. Also, check out this video next if you want to hear my thoughts on waiting for people to change. Bye!